The wind was cold on the high mountains of Zelara. The sky above the temple was dark with purple clouds. The sacred day had arrived. Alira stood quietly with others from her age group, her soft blue skin glowing faintly in the morning light. She was dressed in a plain white robe, her long silver hair tied back with a silver thread. Today was the day of the purity test. Elders believed the test showed who was strong in spirit and worthy of joining the high caste. The ritual had been done for hundreds of years. Once the test began, the truth about each person's soul would be revealed through glowing marks on their skin. Those who passed would be honored. Those who failed were forgotten. Elira felt nervous, but she tried to stay calm. Her parents were not there. She had no siblings. She had only herself. She had always followed the rules, always respected the temple, and always tried to be kind. She thought that would be enough. One by one, others stepped forward. When the elder placed the crystal crown on their heads, their skin glowed with bright markings. The crowd clapped quietly each time. The high priestess nodded in approval. Everything seemed perfect. Then came Alira's turn. She stepped forward. Slowly, the elder placed the crystal crown gently on her head. It was cold and heavy. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then a soft light moved across her skin. But there were no markings, just empty light, no patterns, no sign of purity. The silence was painful. The elder frowned. The high priestess stepped back. Impure, she said in a cold voice. She carries no sacred light. She has failed. Alira froze. Her heart beat fast. She looked at her hands, hoping something might appear. But her skin stayed plain. No one clapped, no one spoke. She felt alone, like the ground had vanished beneath her feet. Guards gently pulled her away from the platform. Whispers began to spread through the crowd. She failed, no sacred mark. What will they do to her? The elders did not speak to her. They locked her in a small chamber below the temple. The walls were gray. The air was dry. She sat on a stone bench, shaking. Her thoughts spun in circles. Why? What did I do wrong? She remembered every good deed, every rule she followed. Nothing made sense. Above the temple grounds, a small human ship hovered silently. Inside it, Ryan, a human observer from the Interstellar Alliance, watched the ritual through a screen. He had been sent to monitor cultural events, not interfere. Humans had learned to respect other worlds and their ways. But what he just saw disturbed him. She failed because her skin didn't glow. He asked aloud, "What kind of test is that?" His assistant, a calm woman named Maya, replied, "Zelaran purity tests are based on something ancient. No one really knows how it works. They say it's spiritual." Ryan frowned. But what happens to her now? Usually, exile, Maya said softly. Ryan leaned forward. Exile for what? She didn't break a law. She didn't harm anyone. Our orders say we can't get involved, Maya reminded him. Ryan didn't answer. He kept watching the screen. Alira's chamber had no camera, but he saw the guards bringing her in. Her face looked confused, scared. "I want to know more about that test," he said. "I'll pull up what we have," Maya replied. As data filled the screen, Ryan read quickly. The purity test was created long ago when the Zelarans feared outside ideas. It scanned the mind and emotions. Anyone who had thoughts that did not match their traditions failed. It wasn't really spiritual. It was a filter, a way to control thinking. "This is wrong," Ryan whispered. Below, Alira sat alone. Her hands rested on her lap. Her eyes were red from holding back tears. She wasn't angry, just confused. She had believed in the test her whole life. Now it had turned against her. Maybe she was different inside. Maybe her thoughts weren't always the same as others. But she never thought that would mean she didn't belong. A small sound came from the wall. Footsteps. Maybe the elders had returned. Maybe they would let her explain. But no one opened the door. Alira stayed in the cold chamber. Time passed slowly. There was no light, no sound. Just silence in her own thoughts. She didn't cry, not because she wasn't sad, but because the sadness was too deep. She sat still, trying to understand what had gone wrong. Outside, the temple remained busy. Elders discussed what must be done. The high priestess believed Alira's failure must be punished quickly. Others must see what happens to the impure. She said. Some elders nodded. Only one of them, a younger one named Taven, seemed unsure. He had always believed the purity test was flawed, but never had the courage to speak. Meanwhile, in the orbiting Alliance ship, Ryan was going through the test data. Maya had found old records and hidden details about how the purity test worked. It didn't read someone's heart or soul, it read thoughts and emotions. Those who thought differently or questioned the teachings of the high caste were marked as impure. Ryan was shocked. So if someone is kind and honest, but they think freely, they fail? He asked. Maya nodded. Yes. The test doesn't check for good or bad, it checks for obedience. This is worse than I thought. Ryan said. They're punishing her because she has her own mind. He couldn't sit still anymore. He paced the room. He knew the Alliance rules. Humans were not allowed to interfere with local customs unless there was clear danger. But to him, this was danger to an innocent girl who had done nothing wrong. I want to go down there, he said suddenly. Maya looked up. You can't, if you interfere. It could break the treaty. What if we just talk to them? Ryan said. No orders, no threats, just show them the truth. Maya thought for a moment. If you bring evidence and don't cross the line, maybe the council will listen. Ryan nodded. He gathered all the test data, research papers, and Alliance findings. He put them in a small device. He wore his translator badge and stepped into the shuttle. Back on Zellora, Alira still sat quietly. The guards brought her a cup of water and a small piece of food. She whispered a thank you, but they didn't reply. They looked away, almost as if they felt guilty. That night, the council met again. The high priestess stood tall, her eyes cold. Tomorrow, the girl will walk the path of judgment, she said. Let her fate be seen by all. The path of judgment was an old tradition. It was meant for those who were seen as broken or wrong. It was said to test the soul a second time. No one had passed it in 100 years. Tavan spoke up. But what if she is not wrong? What if the test failed her? The room grew quiet. Are you questioning the sacred test? The high priestess asked sharply. Tavan lowered his eyes. No, only wondering if we've misunderstood something. Before the argument could grow, the chamber doors opened. A soft alarm sounded. A human entered. It was Ryan. The guards rushed forward, confused, but the council stopped them. This is Ryan of the Alliance, the high priestess said. Why are you here? Ryan stepped forward calmly. He held the device in one hand. I watched your ceremony, he said. I saw Alira take the test, and I looked into how your test works. Our test is sacred, one elder said. I understand that, Ryan replied. But the truth is it's based on something very old and flawed. It doesn't test purity. It tests control. It marks anyone who thinks for themselves. He placed the device on a table. A hologram lit up, showing ancient writings, energy patterns, and Alliance research. The council members watched quietly. Even the high priestess didn't speak for a while. This is Alliance science, Ryan said. It shows that Alira didn't fail. She simply had thoughts that were different, not bad, not dangerous, just different. Some elders exchanged looks. Others frowned. The high priestess stepped forward. You say our tradition is false. Ryan shook his head. I say it is old and maybe ready for change. Look at her. She followed your laws, respected your temple, and still was called unworthy. Taven spoke again. Maybe we should listen. The high priestess stayed quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, if she is truly strong, let her walk the path of judgment. If she survives, we will speak again. Ryan wanted to argue, but he saw the looks on the other elders' faces. They wouldn't change their minds so easily. He nodded slowly. Then I want to see her. Before she walks the path. The morning sun rose slowly over the mountains of Zellora. Soft light filled the cold stone halls of the temple. Alira sat quietly in her small chamber, waiting. Her heart beat fast. She had heard the rumors the path of judgment was dangerous. No one had ever returned from it alive. The heavy door opened, and Taven, the young elder who had shown kindness before, stepped inside. His face was calm but serious. "Alira," he said softly, "it is time." The council agreed. "You will walk the path of judgment." Alira looked up at him. "I will do it," she said with quiet strength. Tava and nodded. "You will not be alone. The path is long and difficult. Many dangers await, but if you are brave, you will return." Outside, Ryan waited near the temple gates. The crowd had grown larger. Many Zellerns had come to watch. Some whispered in fear, others in hope. Alira's story had spread, and many questioned the old ways. Ryan saw the girl step out. She wore a simple robe and held her head high. Despite the fear in her eyes, she moved with purpose. The path of judgment began at the temple's base. It was a narrow trail through dark caves, sharp rocks, and misty forests. It tested the spirit, the mind, and the body. Many had entered, but none had returned. Elira took a deep breath and stepped forward. The crowd watched silently as she disappeared into the shadows. Inside the caves, the air was cool and damp. Strange sounds echoed. Alira felt small but determined. She remembered Ryan's words. She was not broken. She was strong. The first challenge was a deep river. The water was icy cold, and the current fast. Alira paused, then carefully crossed using slippery stones. Her heart pounded, but she did not fall. Next, she faced a maze of sharp rocks. Narrow paths twisted and turned. The walls seemed to close in. She took slow steps, listening to her breath, and feeling the ground beneath her feet. Then, deep in the forest, strange lights appeared. Glowing plants and floating orbs made the path unclear. Alira's mind wavered. Doubts crept in. "Maybe I don't belong," she whispered. But then she saw a small bird. It sang softly, as if encouraging her. She smiled and kept walking. The final test was a strange mirror-like pool. It showed not the face, but the heart. Alira knelt and looked into the water. Her reflection shifted and changed. She saw fear, yes, but also courage, kindness, and hope. "I am not impure," she said. Quietly, "I am me." The pool's surface glowed softly. Alira felt warmth spread inside her chest. A soft light appeared on her skin, not from the test, but from her own strength. Hours passed. The crowd waited anxiously. Then, from the dark path, Alira emerged. She was tired, but her eyes shone with new light. The elders were silent. The high priestess stepped forward slowly. "You have walked the path," she said, "and returned." Alira nodded. "I have, and I am still here." The crowd began to murmur. Some cheered softly. Others looked thoughtful. Ryan stepped beside Alira. "The truth is clear," he said. "She is brave and worthy." The high priestess looked at Alira's glowing skin and then at the crowd. "Perhaps we were wrong to judge her by a test of fear," she said. "From today, the purity test will no longer decide a person's fate." Taven smiled quietly. "Change is hard, but it is needed." Alira felt a tear on her cheek, but it was not sadness. It was hope. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You showed us all courage." The temple doors opened wide, and the crowd cheered. Alira's journey was not just about a test or a path. It was about standing tall when the world said no. And that was a strength no test could ever take away. The crowd slowly began to quiet down, but the air was still thick with questions. Alira stood at the temple steps, her skin glowing softly from her journey through the path of judgment. Her eyes scanned the faces around her, some filled with hope, others with doubt. The high priestess raised her hand, asking for silence. "This day will be remembered," she said. "We have seen proof that true worth cannot be measured by old test or fear. Alira has shown us the power of courage and truth." Taven stepped forward, his voice calm but strong. "We must learn from this. Our people have clung to traditions that divide us. It is time to build a future where every voice matters." Many elders nodded, but not all. Some still looked uncomfortable. Change was difficult. Years of rules and customs were hard to break. Outside the temple, Ryan spoke quietly with Alira. "You did more than survive," he said. You changed a whole world. Alira smiled. I only did what I had to do. I wanted to live honestly, to be myself, and you inspired many. Ryan added as the sun began to set. A group of young Zelorans gathered near the temple. They looked at Alira with admiration and curiosity. One girl stepped forward. I used to fear the purity test, but now I want to learn more. Ask questions. Maybe we can change together. Alira knelt and smiled. Yes, change starts with one step, one voice. That night, the temple halls were alive with quiet talks and plans. The elders agreed to form a new council that would include voices like Tavon's, young, open-minded leaders ready to guide Zelora into a new age. Elira was invited to join. It was not an easy choice. She was still young, and the wounds of her past were fresh, but she accepted, knowing that her journey was only beginning. Days turned into weeks. Alira worked with Ryan and the new council. Together, they introduced new teachings, ones that valued freedom, kindness, and understanding over blind obedience. Not all accepted the changes at once. Some resisted fiercely. Rumors spread that Alira had been influenced by humans to destroy their culture, but many more saw hope, a chance for a better life. Ryan stayed close to Alira. They shared stories of their worlds, hers of ancient mountains and sacred rituals, his of distant stars and endless skies. Their friendship grew, built on respect and trust. One evening, as they watched the twin moons rise, Alira spoke softly. I used to believe I was broken, but now I see I was just waiting to be free. Ryan smiled. Sometimes the hardest chains are in our minds. Breaking them is the true test. The new council passed laws to protect individual rights, encourage education, and honor differences. The old purity test was buried in history books as a warning of fear and control. Alira became a symbol of courage for her people. Her story spread beyond Zelora, reaching other worlds. It showed that change was possible when one person dared to stand out one day. Alira received a message from the Interstellar Alliance. They invited her to speak about her experience, to help other planets facing similar struggles. She agreed, standing before a crowd of many species. Alira shared her story. She spoke of fear, hope, and the power of truth. Her words inspired many. Back on Zelora, life was changing. Children played freely without fear of judgment. Families celebrated differences. The stars seemed brighter. Elira looked up at the sky and smiled. She had faced punishment, but she found freedom instead. Her journey showed that no test could measure a person's true worth. Only courage, kindness, and the will to be oneself could do that. And with that, a new era began, not just for Alira, but for all who believed in hope. Life on Zelora began to change slowly but surely. Alira was no longer the girl locked away in the temple's cold chamber. Now, she was a symbol of hope and change. Her story spread through villages and cities, reaching the hearts of many. But change was not easy. Old beliefs ran deep. Some families still whispered doubts about Alira. She broke the sacred test. They said, "Can she truly be trusted?" Alira knew this was true. Fear did not disappear overnight, yet she did not let the whispers stop her. She worked with the new council, led by Taven and supported by Ryan, to bring education and kindness to every corner of their world. One day, Alira visited a small village far from the temple. Children played near the river, laughing and chasing each other. Many had never seen her before. She smiled warmly and sat by the water's edge. A young boy approached her cautiously. "Are you the girl who walked the path?" he asked. Elira nodded. "Yes, and I am here to listen." The boy looked thoughtful. "My sister was scared of the test. She thought she would fail. But now, she says maybe it doesn't matter." After the great battle, Fortress Zarnik stood stronger than ever. The prison ship was no longer a place of fear, but a symbol of hope. Under Captain Andrew's calm leadership, former prisoners had found freedom and a new purpose. But the galaxy was changing. News of the human soldier who took a prison and turned it into a home spread quickly. Some species admired the courage, others feared the power. Warden Necron, once the prison's strict warden, now helped Captain Andrew guide the new community. He often said, "This place is no longer just a prison, it is a new world." One day, Andrew called a meeting in the main hall. Prisoners, former guards, and new allies gathered. The room was filled with hope and determination. "Our fight is not over," Andrew said. "The Torvax Empire will not stop, but neither will we." He explained his plan to build a fleet, not just for defense but for peace. To protect those who could not protect themselves. Karvek, the Zelari leader, stood beside him. "We will fight as one." Andrew smiled. "Yes, together, we can change the galaxy." In the weeks that followed, Fortress Zarnik became a hub of activity. Prisoners trained, engineers built new ships, and scouts searched for allies. Messages of hope and freedom spread like wildfire. One night, while looking out at the stars, Andrew thought about his journey from the battlefield where he was captured to this new life where he led thousands. He remembered the fear he felt in the beginning, the cold cell, the silence, but now he felt something stronger. Hope. Suddenly, an alert sounded. A small ship approached the prison. Andrew watched as it docked, the hatch opened, and a young human soldier stepped out. He looked tired but determined. "Captain Andrew," the soldier asked. Andrew nodded. "Welcome home." The soldier smiled. "I've come to join the fight." Andrew placed a hand on his shoulder. "We need every brave soul." As the new soldier walked into the hall, prisoners cheered. Their family was growing. Outside Fortress Zarnik, the Galaxy Watch. Some prepared for war. Others hoped for peace. Captain Andrew knew the future would be hard. But he also knew one thing for sure. Freedom was worth fighting for. And with every step forward, the human soldier who was once a prisoner proved that no one could take away the spirit of those who refused to give up. He looked at the stars again and whispered, "This is just the beginning." Alira reached out and touched his shoulder gently. "It doesn't matter. What matters is who you are." Inside, as she spoke, a group of villagers gathered. Some were curious, others doubtful. Alira told them stories of courage, of standing tall even when others say no. She spoke of the power and kindness, and the freedom to think for oneself. Ryan watched nearby, quietly amazed. He had never expected to find such strength on a distant world. "Your people are brave," he said. "You are changing the stars." Alira smiled. "We are learning together. It is not just my journey." Back at the temple, the council worked hard to rewrite laws. The old rules that punished those who failed the purity test were erased. New rules protected freedom and fairness, but not all was peaceful. Some elders still resisted. They met in secret, planning to bring back the old ways. Alira heard whispers of trouble. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Alira received a warning from Taven. "There are those who want to stop the change. Be careful." Alira felt a chill but nodded. "I will be ready." The next day, during a council meeting, the temple doors burst open. A group of angry elders entered. Their faces were hard and voices loud. "This rebellion will not stand," one shouted. "The purity test is sacred. We will restore it." The council was shocked. Ryan stepped forward calmly. "The test caused pain and fear. It has no place in a fair world." The angry elders did not listen. A tense moment followed. Ira stood tall. "We cannot live in fear. We must choose kindness and truth." Her voice was strong. Many in the room nodded quietly. The angry elders had lost support. After the meeting, Alira spoke to the people outside. "Change is never easy," she said, "but it is worth fighting for." Days later, a new celebration was planned, a festival of freedom. It would honor the courage of all who had stood against fear and injustice. Alira was asked to lead the festival. She accepted with humility. She wanted to show that even one person could make a difference. On the day of the festival, people from all over Zelara gathered. Music played, children danced, and stories were told. The air was filled with hope. Ryan stood beside Alira, smiling. "This is a new beginning." Alira looked around. She saw faces full of joy and promise. Her heart swelled with pride. "Thank you," she whispered. for believing. As the sun set, Alira raised her hand, and the crowd cheered. She knew the journey was far from over, but together, they would build a brighter future. The days after the Festival of Freedom were filled with hope and hard work. Alira continued her mission to bring understanding and peace to Zalara. But she knew challenges were still ahead. Some people still feared change. One morning, Ryan invited Alira to visit the Alliance ship orbiting above. "I want to show you something," he said with a smile. Alira stepped onto the ship. Inside, it was bright and quiet. Machines hummed softly. She followed Ryan to a large room filled with screens and data. "This is the archive," Ryan explained. "It holds knowledge from many worlds. Here, you can learn about other cultures, science, and history." Alira's eyes widened. She had never seen such technology. "This is amazing." Ryan nodded. "Knowledge can free us. It can help us see beyond fear and old rules." They spent hours looking through the archive. Alira learned about planets where people lived in peace, respecting differences. She saw stories of bravery and kindness from across the galaxy. As they talked, Ryan shared news from other worlds. Many had faced similar struggles with old traditions and fear of change. "Your story is not unique," he said, "but your courage can inspire others." Alira felt proud but also humble. She knew her journey was just one of many. Back on Zalara, the council began working with Alliance scientists and teachers. New schools were built. Lessons taught the value of freedom, science, and respect. Alira often visited these schools. Children listened eagerly to her stories. She encouraged them to ask questions and think freely. One day, a young girl named Minna approached Alira. "Will I ever be as brave as you?" she asked. Alira smiled. "Bravery is inside all of us. It grows when we believe in ourselves." Ryan and Alira also worked to create a special program. It brought together humans and Zellarans to share knowledge and culture. Many young people joined, eager to learn and build friendships. But not everyone was happy. A secret group still planned to stop the change. They spread rumors that humans were trying to control Zalara. Some began to distrust Ryan. Alira stood firm. She knew the truth. "We are here to help, not to take over," she told the council. "We must show kindness and patience." One night, a messenger arrived with urgent news. The secret group had sabotaged one of the new schools. Damage was done, but no one was hurt. The council was shocked and angry. They called for calm and action. Alira spoke to the people. "We must not let fear win. We will rebuild and keep moving forward." Ryan and Alliance workers repaired the school quickly. The community came together, stronger than before. Alira's single quotes S words spread hope. Slowly, more people joined the movement for peace. As months passed, the bond between humans and Zellarans grew. They shared festivals, meals, and stories. Differences became strengths. One evening, as the twin moons shone bright, Alira and Ryan sat together outside the temple. The stars twinkled above. "I never thought this journey would be so long," Alira said softly. Ryan smiled. "Change takes time, but every step matters." Alira looked up at the sky. "I'm ready for whatever comes next." Ryan nodded. "We will face it together." Their friendship had grown into something deep and unspoken, a promise to stand by each other, no matter what. And in the quiet night, Zalara dreamed of a future where all beings could live free, strong, and proud. The sun rose gently over Zalara, casting warm light across the mountains and valleys. The world felt different now, full of hope and new beginnings. Alira stood on the temple steps, looking out over the crowd gathered for a special day. Today was the day of the first Peace Festival. It was a celebration not just of change, but of unity. People from many villages, including humans from the Alliance, had come together. Music filled the air, and colors brightened the sky. Alira wore a simple dress of soft blue fabric. Her skin glowed faintly from the strength she had found within herself. Beside her stood Ryan, his face calm and proud. Together, they represented two worlds joined by trust and friendship. The crowd cheered as Alira stepped forward. She raised her hand, calling for silence. Her voice was clear and steady. Today, we celebrate not the old tests or rules, she said, but the courage to be ourselves, the courage to stand for truth and kindness. The crowd listened closely. Some faces shone with joy. Others still held memories of fear. But all felt the power of her words. Ryan spoke next. I have seen many worlds, he said, but none as brave as Zalara. Your journey shows us all that change is possible, even when it seems impossible. After the speeches, the festival began. Children danced under the twin moons. Elders shared stories of the past and dreams for the future. Humans and Zelrn shared food and laughter. As the night deepened, Alira and Ryan walked together under the stars. Do you ever think about what might have happened if you had failed? Ryan asked softly. Elira smiled. I did, many times. But I learned that failing is not the end. It is the chance to try again, stronger and wiser. You changed your whole world, Ryan said, all because you believed in yourself, and because others believed in me. Alira replied, like you. Their friendship had grown through trials and hope. It was a quiet strength that no test could measure. Weeks later, Alira received a message from the Interstellar Alliance. They wanted her to visit their council on a distant planet. They asked her to share her story, to help other worlds facing fear and old customs. Elira accepted. She knew her journey was far from over. On the day of her departure, many gathered to say goodbye. Taven, the young elder, stood beside her. You will always be part of Zalara, he said. Your courage changed us. Alira nodded. And I will carry Zalara in my heart. Ryan helped her aboard the human ship as it rose into the sky. Alira looked down at her home mountains, rivers, and the temple where her story began. The stars stretched before her, full of unknown worlds and stories. She thought of the purity test, once a symbol of fear. Now, it was history. Her path had been hard, filled with doubt and challenge. But she had found light in herself and others. As the ship sailed into the galaxy, Alira felt ready to face new challenges, to stand for truth, and to show that courage and kindness can change even the oldest traditions. Her story would live on not just as a tale of a girl who failed a test, but as a beacon of hope for all who dream of freedom. And so, Alira's journey continued among the stars, strong, proud, and free.